Hello there everybody and welcome back to my channel once again. Today I thought it might be quite interesting if we explore some more of the interiors of the Blue Palace because there's been many additions and I thought I might show them off to you today. I think last time we visited the King's apartments, the Queen's apartments, various other different rooms in the palace, but we're going to look at the Mesdames apartments today, which are the daughters of the King. Here we're in the marble hall. On the left you can see the door there leading to the Crown Prince's apartments. And on the right over there are the apartments of Mesdames. So over there is the Crown Prince's rooms. And then on the right here we have the Mesdames apartments, the daughters of the King. And you can see there, Mesdames apartments, the sign. And we also have some more information here on the wall, apartments of Madame Henriette and Sophie. Then we have the names of the room, etc., and the name of the apartment in which this belongs to. This is the first room of the apartment, a kind of like guard room, very large space, also used as a guard's dining hall. Random bit of information there. But yes, this is the first room into Madame Sophie's apartments. Kind of dark and dismal because it's not really a room used for many functions. Like I say, it's a guard room. Now we're entering into the first antechamber, as you can see there. This room is a sort of an outer room of the apartment. Doesn't really have any particular function, but isn't it beautiful with the ceiling decorations and all the bright colours and the extravagance of the space, even though it's not really used for much. The decoration of the room is nonetheless very, very extravagant. You can see the King's staircase there, which is still incomplete. But it's the staircase that the royal family would use to access the apartments because it's a private staircase. Here we enter into the second antechamber of the apartments, and you can see the decoration again is extremely extravagant. The idea of these rooms is to represent the daughters' high importance at court and their position, and the sumptuousness of their apartments reflects that. Here we have the third antechamber. This is more of an exclusive room. The further you delve into the apartments, the more exclusive the rooms become. So this room is a more kind of like exclusive space, which should be reserved for the higher nobility, etc. Kind of used as like a sitting room, a small ballroom perhaps, and you can see here there's more sort of hidden staircases all over the palace because it gives you direct access to the different rooms. Madame Sophie's bedchamber. Now her personality was very colourful, very extravagant. She liked to have parties. She was very kind of like a colourful sort of person, at least that's her character. So the decoration in this room represents that. It's her bedroom, and it's full of colour and gold and decoration. Here we're passing through the bed sort of barrier there, and we're just going to explore some more. These doors don't actually lead into anywhere, they're just sort of there for decoration, but eventually past them doors will be the private apartments of the Mesdames, but we're exploring the grand apartments of the Mesdames because members of the royal family would have a grand apartment and a private apartment. Here we have Madame Sophie's privy drawing room. So this is a private drawing room. Like I say, it's very exclusive now. We're very far into the apartments. So this room really is very exclusive. The decoration in here is beautiful, all the different colours, the ceiling sort of patterns and decorations is beautiful. Could do with a bit more light in here perhaps, but I like to give that shadowy effect, very, very theatrical, but it's a really, really beautiful room, one of my favourites. Here we come to Madame Sophie's large chamber, which is the most sumptuous room of her apartments. During the daytime, it would be used as a sitting room or a meeting room, and then in the evenings, this room would become like a ballroom, only sort of held for those of invitation. But look at the space, isn't it really wonderful? It's so huge as well, but it's really, really extravagant. And then here we come to Madame Sophie's private closet. So this room is the most private room within her apartments, and it's like a small private sitting room where she would go to relax, etc. But this room is a very, very, very private room, and only those of invitation can actually access this room. It's also inspired by Marie Fedorovna's, Alexandra Fedorovna's sort of boudoir in the Winter Palace. And then we have Madame Sophie's private library, and you can see this room is very low because directly above you'll see in a minute there's another room. But this room is her private library where she would go to study, to read, whatever, and it's a very, very interesting room with the kind of like gothic arches above the bookcases. Then we have a secret door here, would you believe it, that leads upstairs into Madame Henriette's library. It's built directly above. This is inspired by the Palace of Versailles, which is actually the Madame's library is low like this because before there would have been a library above. This is inspired by that. Madame Henriette's library. Here it is in all of its glory. Very low room, but again, it's a very private space. These doors don't lead to anywhere. They're just there for decoration. They're just there for symmetry of the room. Now we're going to go back downstairs and we're going to take a look at the rest of the apartments. Let's head back down the staircase here, this very, very small private staircase. And now we're going to head into Madame Henriette's apartments, but rather than entering her apartments from the start, we're going to access her apartments from the end. And you'll see why in a second. This small room here is like kind of a small entrance hall which separates the two apartments, and we're going to enter Madame Henriette's apartments from the end rather than the start. Here's some exterior views of the palace. You can see there's much to do, but the main structural building is complete, but there's many, many more buildings to complete. So we start with Madame Henriette's private drawing room, and it's the very last room in her apartments. You would enter her apartments from the other side. This is the last room in her apartments. Very dark, and this is because there's two different personalities between the princesses. One of them is very colourful, very exciting, very likeable, and Madame Henriette had a much darker, colder personality, and her apartments kind of reflect that. Here's her bedchamber, Madame Henriette's bedchamber, very, very grand, very, very ornate. Very dark, like I say. Her personality, I can't speak today. Her personality was much darker than that of her sisters. Not as likeable, much more distant, much more cold. And her apartments are kind of darker. And there's her bed there in all of its glory. This palace, as you can probably tell, is very heavily inspired by Versailles. So all the beds have kind of like these barriers around them, like they do at Versailles. That room is really grand. Then we enter the third antechamber. I love this room, the decorations, the colours. I love this space. The antechambers can be used as like meeting rooms or sitting rooms, but they don't really have any specific purpose. The only rooms within the apartments that actually have any kind of official purpose would be the bedchambers and the private closets, etc. Now this room is the second antechamber, and it's built in a style which I call the Empire style, which is a very white and gold sort of theme, much like the King's Large Chamber in my previous videos. You can see the decoration here, very intricate, very extravagant. The idea of this palace is that even the smallest spaces are ornately decorated because it represents the king's power and wealth, and his palace reflects that, and those who occupy it, really. That's the idea of it. And then we have the first antechamber, very dark again, but the ceiling has this amazing, intricate sort of pattern on it, but the room isn't really all that, really. And then, but this room in particular is my favourite within the apartments. It is amazing. Just look at the extravagance of this space. Now, this space is heavily inspired by the Empire style. Look at the space. Isn't it just beautiful? I love it so much. The marble floor, and the ceiling is just absolutely incredible. All these different shades of yellows and gold. It is absolutely stunning, and it's my favourite room within her apartments. The fireplace here, the doors either side, the way the room's lit and everything, it just looks so amazing. Through there is the King's Staircase, we'll have a look at that in a second. And then through here we have Madame Henriette's guard chamber, which is inspired by the Auqueton Salon at Versailles. You can see here it's a very dark space, very beautiful though, very intricately decorated. The niche there with the sculpture in the middle. There you go with the sign again, just to tell you what space you're in. And then through there is like an outdoor space, but it's very unfinished. But here we go back in again to the large chamber. This room again serves the same function as Madame Sophie's large chamber. It's a kind of a ballroom, a sitting room as one. Then we pass through here, leaving the Madame's apartments, into the King's Staircase. I just think this space is absolutely incredible. Nowhere near finished. I've got to build all the chandeliers. You can see the wings outside the palace there. I've got to build all the chandeliers. This space was inspired by the opera in Paris, the Opera Garnier. Very, very grand, opulent space, but this is like the official King's Staircase that leads into various different state apartments within the palace. Now, this room is a brand new room in the palace. You haven't seen it before. One of the chandeliers is not complete, but nevertheless, this room is inspired by English country houses. So this space I've seen in a now demolished British country house, but I was inspired by the space, and it leads off into various other apartments. It serves as a kind of like a room you would use to access different points of the palace. Here we have another room in the palace here, in one of the newer wings in the front of the courtyard. And then we have this long corridor which leads to an absolutely magnificent staircase, and it is just incredible. Here you can see the courtyard and the dome there. I'm starting to build domes in the palace to give it more of like an empire kind of look, an even grander silhouette. Look at this here. This is absolutely beautiful. This is the King's. This is like a staircase that leads off from the main courtyard where the royal family would come in and access different parts of the palace. This is the King's private staircase, which has a very Hogwartsy kind of look, but it leads to different varied floors and different apartments, primarily the King's private apartments, which that staircase leads to. But this one is used as a staircase by the royal family to access their apartments both on the ground floor and upstairs. But if you've noticed, it's very, very heavily inspired by the Russian imperial palaces, and it's just beautiful. I don't know if I've shown it before, but it is absolutely incredible. Look at the space. It's just so ornate. These windows here, you can see they're lit up, but they don't lead outside. So I've had to build skylights within the palace to light up the windows, but the windows themselves don't actually lead outside, if you know what I mean. The archways under the stairs, it's just so beautiful. If you haven't noticed, I'm all about like ornamentation and grandeur, bigger, better. The grander the better, really. The more ornate the better. I'm all about big. I don't do small palaces. I do massive, gigantic palaces. That's my theme, is big builds. Here we have a look at another bit of the staircase, the central dome skylight. I love this corridor though, the landing area. We're going to pass through some more. I think we're going to look at the new rooms of the King's private apartments, which surround the main central private courtyard. So you have things like libraries, ante-rooms. So the King has several different private apartments, but this one is like his most commonly used one, which he uses really quite a lot. In this, if this was used as a real palace. We have the staircase here. Now this is the King's sort of staircase he would use to access up and down. His mistresses would use this apartment staircase as well to access their apartments, which will be upstairs eventually. We have lots of natural light in this staircase, and it's also built from quartz block. So the space is really naturally lit, which I think is beautiful. It really gives it like a cinematic kind of feel. You can see the skylight there and the staircase wrapping around the skylight. I love it. Really, really beautiful. We're going to head back upstairs now and look at the King's private apartments, like I was saying. This video seems kind of rushed, I do apologise. Anyway, here we go. So we're back in this room once again. I haven't quite decided what these rooms are going to be used for, but they're just kind of like there for show, really. Here we have another one, the yellow room, with the beautiful intricate patterns on the ceiling. You can see there's all sorts of different colours in here. There you go, that's the main central courtyard. You can see where the staircase is. And then we're going to pass through into this room, which I'm really fond of. It's like I like the colour scheme in here, with the kind of, that red block, I forgot what it's called. But it gives this room a really nice, interesting feel. It's really, really beautiful though, it all comes together so nicely. Then we pass through into another one of the king's bedchambers. The idea of this is that successive kings were added on their own different private apartments. So this is another one. And you can see the king's bed there, the clock up at the mantelpiece. And in here is an unfinished bathroom that the king would use his bath there, as you can see with the taps looking out here. This is the first guard room of the king's grand apartments, but we're not going to head in there today. We've seen it all before. We're focusing on the new additions to the Blue Palace. So back through here we have one of the offices here, one of the king's offices. Green I went for in this room. Not my particular favourite colour, but it's just different. But you know, still a very pretty room. Now we're in the heart of power. We're in the heart of power in the palace. This is the king's main office. This is where he would govern from. This is his central room of power within the palace. So he would conduct council meetings in here, and all of his official government duties would take place within this room. And then we're going to head through now, finally, into the Hall of Giants, the most sumptuous room within the palace. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time.